Hey y'all, sorry. My computer decided that it wanted to crap the bed as well, so we're doing it on my phone. I'm gonna wait for some people to get online here with me, just for a minute. I get better reception on my phone anyway, so that, I don't know what that is all about. But I'm actually going to move you over here so I can actually see the comments as they're coming in. Because, you know, things here are not working well. I'm just going to say, yeah, you know, we're not working. I'm going to wait for a minute or two for people to get online. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to send people a message here and just say on Facebook Live. And, oh, I'm doing fine, Dave. How are you? I'm doing fine. I'm going to try and get out of here for a minute. There are a lot of things. Hi to that second person that's online. Feel free to ask questions. I've actually got myself up on my Facebook page here so I can answer questions that you all have. I wanted to do this on YouTube. However, my YouTube shit the bed. That's all I can tell you. All right. For some reason, I get better reception on my phone than I actually do on my computer. So, I'm right doing laundry. Well, you know what? You can listen and do laundry at the same time. I get better reception on my phone than I actually do on my laptop. And of course, YouTube won't let me use my phone to go live unless I do X amount of shorts that they have, that they want me to do. But I'll download this later onto YouTube so that you can actually, I don't know if people are going to watch this later, they can. Oh, quick. And she may be online later. But for all who are going to see this, these here are from my friend Carrie. Carrie Hopper, everybody, has a company called This Little Light of Mine Skincare. And I bought 3 of her new line. And they smell delicious. I got Loyalty in a body butter, and I got Wisdom in a body butter. And then I got the Ambition Sugar Scrub. These smell like food. Like this one here, Loyalty, smells like waffles, pecan waffles with maple syrup. Oh. And each one is infused with Reiki. And she puts a crystal in there. And now look at this. This has got tiger's eye in it. This is not a small little speck of a crystal. This is a full-size crystal in here. And, they're not greasy. They smell really good. This one here, Wisdom, smells like blueberry cobbler. Look, it's got lapis lazuli in it. That's a big lapis lazuli in there. Look at that. I already put some on. Don't mind that with the finger. This here is Ambition Sugar Scrub. Smells like a caramel apple. Smells like a caramel apple. Maybe this is why I can't find a man, Dave. Is that why I can't find a man? Because apparently the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Maybe if I smell like breakfast, maybe that'll be attracting some men. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just hoping that maybe one day I'll attract a man, maybe. Who knows? We'll see about that. Maybe if I put some of this pecan waffles on and maybe some blueberry cobbler and scrub down with some caramel apple, maybe I'll find myself a man. Maybe that's it. You know, maybe I'm making everybody hungry. I don't know. But this little light of mine, skincare, she works really hard on this. And I don't tote companies that I don't believe in. And let me tell you, her butter sticks, she has shea butter sticks that, you know, you just take, looks like a chapstick and rub it wherever you need it. These body butters are not greasy. They are well worth the money that you spend for one. And you only need a little bit. It's got infused with Reiki and crystals. Come on now. Come on now. Wisdom. Smells like blueberry cobbler. Hi to that third person. If you just want to announce yourself and tell me who you are, that would be amazing. 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 I have no idea who that third person is, but okay. Anyway, any hoodles. Just say hey. That would be great. Ambition Sugar Scrub. Smells like caramel apples and has adventurine in it. And this one, Loyalty, smells like breakfast. Smells like fresh made waffles with pecans and maple syrup. Come on now. Literally. I want to... Hey, Desiree. I literally want to dip myself in this stuff. And I don't know. I'm starting off the show with a little tote. And I am shamelessly... you know, toting these products. You lost me for a second. That's okay. I keep coming in and out. It's because I live around a lot of bars and they're streaming. So if you just wait on for a second, it'll pop back on. But I am shamelessly toting this little light of mine skincare by Carrie Hopper. Go find it on the Books of the Face. She's got sugar scrubs, lotions. It started out with Chill Baby, which is a mentholated lotion that is very light whipped. And it finishes with this baby powder smell, which is amazing. It's cooling to the touch. Good for after workouts. Good for aches and pains of the body. And then it went to Not Today, Sis, magnesium spray. And now... Loyalty. Wisdom smells like blueberry cobbler and has lapis lazuli in it. Loyalty smells like pecan waffles with maple syrup and it's got a tiger's eye in it. And Ambition Sugar Scrub to wash with smells like caramel apples and has adventurine in it. They all have infused with Reiki and all have light, like life size. Real size. Not little chips of crystals in it. Okay? So this is what we're working with. This little light of mine skincare. I also wanted to start off the top of the show by, I don't know how many people have been on Facebook recently. I am friends with Aaron Bush. Hey, Rachel! Friends with Aaron Bush and Carrie Hopper, who have an amazing podcast that is every other Thursday called Well, That Was Weird, on YouTube. And it's hilarious, fact-finding, fun, and just, amazing when it comes to their group of people, their fan base in the chat. They'll talk about a whole bunch of stuff, spiritual, metaphysical, and we have laughs in between, kind of like our shows that we do once Corner Cauldron gets back on the air and which is winging it. I don't know how many people know this or have been on Facebook, but let's revisit the Conjuring House, okay? The Conjuring House is going up for sheriff's auction. We all know that the previous owner, Jackie, the house went into foreclosure with all the nonsense and everything that went on with the house and the farm. They call it the farm because it's huge. The property is huge. And this, hey Charles, this house was owned by the Perrins. So if you've watched the Conjuring series, you know about the Perrins. And right now, Andrea Perrin, one of the Perrin children who lived through that in the Conjuring house, is battling cancer. And when it went up when we found out that the house was in foreclosure, and we were all guesstimating on who was going to put in a bid when the auction happened, we were all praying that Jason Hawes would, put in a bid for the house and get it, or the farm and get it. He said multiple times that, he was not interested, that at this point in his life that he really could not take on anything else. However, Andrea Perrin had, I think, reached out to Jason or sent him a letter or spoke to him somehow and said that she was praying or manifesting that the house did not fall into hands that were not capable of giving it the love and care that it deserved, and the spirits the respect that they deserved as well. And she was in fear of it just becoming another shit show circus. And she said she was manifesting. Let's just put it that way. And manifest she did. So Jason Hawes is going to put a bid in on the Conjuring house and the property. But we've all been wanting Jason to win this property. We just don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. We know that he would be the right person. Jason Hawes, if you don't know who he is, he's Ghost Hunters, Taps, Roto-Rooter, a lot of things. A great man, just a great man to talk to. Very respectful, always has been. The only show other than the Dead Files that I will ever watch, as far as like ghost hunting or paranormal. There's a lot out there that are, subpar for me. And we all know my feelings on that. So, any hoodles. The auction goes off October 31st. And with the prospects of this house, then he decided to. Yeah, he kind of, is doing it for the parents. He's actually doing it for a lot of reasons. He still to this day said that, he can't be there for the daily operations, but he is going to turn it over if he gets it, to staff that he's handpicked, that have worked with him, people that have worked many years on the farm or the Conjuring house, whatever you want to, whichever way you want to refer to it. And he's up for the challenge. He really is. With that being said, he has started a GoFundMe page. So he is extremely down to earth. Started a GoFundMe page. With that GoFundMe page, his goal is to hit, I think, a million and some. I think 1,400,000, something like that. And he's asking for everybody's help at this point. We know that there are a lot of people who are out there who can't donate because, the way of the economy today. If you can't donate, please go to the GoFundMe page. It's on his Facebook page, Jason Hawes Taps. And share it. Share it. You know, even if you can give $10, that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Carrie Hopper, who's a friend of mine, who's decided to do a 50-50 raffles with her skincare products, with This Little Light of Mine skincare. You know, she will be selling raffle tickets. So if you want to go to This Little Light of Mine skincare, please go there and buy raffle tickets. She's doing 50-50s. You can get great products. Look at this. Come on now. Who doesn't want to smell like breakfast? Come on now. I want to smell like breakfast. Maybe that's my reason, like I said in the very beginning, that I can't catch a man is because the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And maybe my problem is that I haven't smelled like breakfast. I don't know. I don't know. Please support this little Light of Mine skincare. It's my friend Carrie Hopper. Please go and support, well, that was weird, podcast on YouTube. Please support Jason Hawes. You know, even if you can't afford to send him any money, at least share it to people who can. Because we don't want it to fall into the wrong hands, or it's just going to be another shit show that's going to happen. From his latest, I believe, from his latest that he's put out there on Facebook, it may be, I'm not exactly sure, he does have the support of the neighbors. They respect him, they honor him, and they know that he will do right, and that his workers will do right by the spirits in the house, and give that house the tender, loving care, and respect that it needs. I mean, it's a piece of history, for crying out loud. It's been there for hundreds of years. Please, you know? So that's my little tote. Any hoodles. Down to basics, down to the brass tacks of what we're going to talk about tonight. You know, I have seen many comments about Lilith. The goddess Lilith. Some people refer to her as Mother Lilith. And there have been, for centuries, fights over, you know, she's a demon. No, she's a goddess. No, she's a demon. No, she was made a demon by other religious factions. We're going to break it down tonight. And I think some people are going to get a little butthurt by, you know, by speaking about Mother Lilith. I refer to her as Mother Lilith. There are pagans out there in our community that work with the deity of Lilith and refer to her as Mother Lilith. We're going to get down to the brass tacks of Lilith and demystify whether she is considered a demon or whether she is just another female figure. So we're gonna start off with the ultimate question that people have, that comes up all the time, and I wrote some cliff notes because I did this in a rush kind of thing. Is Lilith the first Eve? Did she come before Eve? And the Eve that he will retire the man she fired to manage it. That's a possibility. I don't know, Dave. It could be. We don't know who his team will be. Quenching my thirst real quick. So there has been for many centuries an overloading question of whether Lilith came before Eve. And when we speak about Eve, everybody knows that we're talking about Adam and Eve, the first two people in the Garden of Eden that populated this world, okay? Or that were created by God. So was she the first Eve? Was she here before Eve was ever here? And that is a resounding maybe. Maybe. You know? This is questionable. Some say that she was kicked out of the Garden of Eden because she would not bow down to Adam. As the story goes, or the folklore goes, is that God made Adam from clay. He then took the same clay and with the same breath breathed life into a female. Rehire. That's a great possibility that he may. Depends on his health at this point. So, that with his same breath, God created Lilith. Lilith would not bow down, according to the story, would not bow down or be submissive to Adam. Since they were made from the same clay and the same breath, and they were made at the same time, her idea was to share everything. Share the sunlight, share the water, share the earth. She wanted to walk beside Adam, not behind him or underneath him. She would not bow down to man. And when Adam complained about this, apparently God came down and, kind of asked her, why aren't you being submissive? This is man, da-da-da. You are meant to bow down to him. And she said, no, why should I? I am considered his equal. I want to walk beside him, do things together. I do not want to bow down behind him, underneath him. I don't want to walk behind him. This is not how I was meant to be created. So God got angry with this, and according to the story, God smited Lilith and threw her out of the Garden of Eden, and made Eve. He then said, I will make you someone submissive, someone that is not your equal, but is lesser than you, one to rule over. So he took a rib out of Adam, and with that rib, he made Eve. So that's how the story goes, or how that one version of that story goes. With that being said, and God demonizing Lilith, making her a demon, and then creating Eve, who bowed down to Adam and was submissive, there begs the question, from Jewish tradition, it was kept out from Christian history, if I'm correct. That is absolutely correct, and we're going to get to that, why that was that way. My question is, it begs the question, or makes another question, as to if Eve was so submissive to Adam, when it came to the tree of life and the apples in that tree, it's how man interpreted it, correct, as how man interpreted it. If that was the case and Eve was submissive, then why didn't he just tell Eve, don't eat that apple? Because if she was that submissive, she would not have eaten the apple. She would not have been tempted by the serpent. That's all he had to do. So, was Adam that much of a man? Was Eve that submissive? That begs another question. Is that true? We are unaware to that and why that is. And then we have the question as to, second question that I get a lot of is the mention of Lilith, or Lilith herself was stricken out of the Bible at the First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD by Constantine I. Well, if you go back to the Roman history, Constantine the First wanted to spread Christianity all through Europe. And there was a lot of paganism running around in Rome at the time, and Greece, and all over the world. There was lots of paganism running around. They were celebrating, the Romans were celebrating Saturnalia. Nero had bought an entire island all to himself to celebrate Saturnalia and to invite people to a 7-day orgy of just gluttonous food and women for Saturnalia. So when Constantine I came along, there was the First Council of Nicaea in Rome, and they wanted to make Catholicism, or Christianity, let's just put it that, Christianity, the mainstay, and get rid of everything else. And they were a big He-Man woman haters club, put it to you that way. They didn't like women that questioned. Women during that time were to be submissive, silent, and bow down to their husband, bow down to every man, and do as they were told. Well, it is true that during the First Council of Nicaea, there were quite a few books that were stricken out of the Bible. They were stricken out of the Bible for what they would call heretical purposes, or they were heresy against God and against the Catholic Church or the Christian Church. We couldn't have any women running around, being manly. What are you talking about? Get the hell out of here. We can't have none of that happening. That Lilith was not even mentioned in the Bible at that time. So, out of the number of books that were removed at the First Council of Nicaea for heretical purposes, Lilith was not one of them. There were two in specific. One was the Lost Book of Thomas, and you would be surprised that there were Gospels according to the Virgin Mary, Gospels according to Mary Magdalene, that were actually stricken out of the Bible, and the first interpretation of the Bible at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. So now, even though there were all those books that were taken out for heretical purposes, the book of Lilith, or the mention of Lilith, was not stricken from the Bible. In fact, Lilith is only mentioned, I believe, one time, if not two times, in the Bible. And it is only in the book, in Isaiah, in the Bible, is the word Lilith mentioned. And that is in Isaiah 34:14, where the word Lilith is actually used as a descriptive word. They are referring to a screeching sound. They're referring to a possible screech owl that was making horrible noises, and could be also construed in the language back then as a demon of Edom, which is Eden, the demon of Eden. There we go, back to Eden again. Okay, but most likely used as a descriptive word, and though that is the only place that it is seen in the Bible, even in today's Bibles, is in Isaiah. You won't hear it any other place other than there. The third question is Lilith pagan then? Absolutely, she is pagan. 100%. 100,000%. Miss Lilith is pagan. Let me wet my whistle before we get to the good meats of the situation. So you are right, Rachel. It's how they interpret it, and you are correct, Charles, in saying that it was from Jewish tradition. That Lilith originates in ancient Mesopotamia. She was described as a female demon at first, or in the Mesopotamian language as Lilitu, which also can be used as a descriptive word in the Sumerian language, Lilitu, which refers to screech owl, horrible noise, darkness. Could refer to, there were a lot of things that were considered Lilitu, which is a Sumerian word. It's a spirit associated with the night and the wind. But in the same token, or in the same breath, we learn about duality when it comes to goddesses or demons. Okay? Demons. We use that term loosely. Demons. The demons. But she was also, in ancient Mesopotamia, considered the goddess of fertility, a creator, a goddess creator, if you will. And I'm looking at some of my notes because I would forget about a bazillion things. This is the only time I'm organized, is when I have my dang notes. The earliest written reference about Lilith is in a Sumerian story called Inanna and the Hilupu tree. And that dates all the way back to Mesopotamia and Babylonian times. In the story, the goddess Inanna plants a sacred Hilupu tree. She takes a seed and she plants it. And out of that seed grows a sacred Hilupu tree. That tree is considered to have mystical powers, right? Not for everybody, okay? Only for those who are meant to have that power, okay? So, once that Hilupu tree grows, Inanna, the goddess Inanna, goes to try to cut this tree down. She's like, oh yeah, I'm going to cut this tree down, man. I grow it for a specific purpose, and now I'm going to cut it down. Well, she couldn't even approach the tree, because little known to her that while that tree was growing, guess what was growing in it? There was a serpent, and there was a demon named Lilith that was growing in that tree. So she got all mad and got her undies in a bunch, and she got her knickers in a knot, and was fussing around because she couldn't cut her tree down. And that's mine, it's mine, it's mine. I planted that tree, and now I want to reap the rewards out of the tree, and I can't because of that stupid demon and that stupid snake that's in the tree that's going to eat me up or take my soul and carry it away or whatever's. All right. So with that being said, she was trying to hatch a plan on how she was going to cut that tree down. And all of a sudden, guess who she trolloped into town? The good old Gilgamesh, who was a hero at the time for smiting people and countries, demons, and all kinds of good stuff. So she goes and she knocks on Gilgamesh's door and says, hey, Gilgamesh, I may have a job for you to do for me. Pretty please, as she flashes those chocolate brown eyes at him, with probably her nose rings and all of her jewelry and rings on her fingers and toes, and her black as coal hair looking all purty. And of course, Gilgamesh couldn't stand, could not help a pretty face. You know what I mean? He had to, look, I got 6 people. Look at that. He couldn't help but a pretty woman. So he said, all right, what do you want me to do? She said, I want you to go to that tree I got over yonder. It's a halupu tree that I planted. And I want to cut it down because I want it for something. But I can't because there's a nasty snake growing in it. And there's a demon in there named Lilith. So Gilgamesh goes, no problem, pretty lady. I got you covered. Takes his axe, goes over to the tree, kills the snake, and scares Lilith away. Cuts down that tree and gives it to Inanna, who then decides she's going to make a bed out of it and sleep under the stars. Well, that didn't help Inanna too much, because that is the last they see of Inanna, because she did not deserve that tree. So the gods smited her. Hey Lisa, she should have conjured up George Washington. Well, George Washington hadn't even been made yet. Hadn't even been invented yet, but that would have been a good one. Had George Washington, I cannot tell a lie. Yes, I did chop down that tree. The gods smite Inanna because that tree was not meant for her own pleasure. The mysterious powers of that tree were not meant for just her. They were meant for everyone to share. And if she had just gone to the tree and spoken to the demon and the snake and said, I want to share your mystical powers with everyone. I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I want to, teach me your ways so that I can teach my village, and that I can share your wood with many in my village. Then Lilith and the serpent would have easily given up the tree, because she was honest and she wanted to share. See, Lilith was all about the sharing. It was all about the 50-50, What are you going to give to me if I give to you kind of situation. So that is the first part of Lilith, being found in Sumerian and Mesopotamian during the Babylonian times, found in writings in Sumerian about the quote-unquote demon, because she was dark. She lived in the dark. She couldn't help herself. She was just doing what she was told to do. That's doing what she does. It wasn't until, here we get to your part, Charles. It wasn't until the Jewish folklore happened and the medieval alphabet of Ben Sira. So the alphabet of Ben Sira is literature that was made in the medieval times by the Jews, that we see Lilith being considered the first wife of Adam. So here we go, come full circle again with this whole Adam-ish going on. Okay? And in that story, there was Lilith, who was the first wife of Adam. And because she would not be submissive to Adam, God banished her from the Garden of Eden, never to return again. Now, there is also some theory to whether God made her a demon and said, here, you want to be bad, you want to be dark, you don't want to follow my rules, I'm going to turn you into a demon. or whether her pain and her rage made her that way. But there is also, in the Jewish folklore, where Lilith is considered the baby eater, the stealer of babies. And that has soaked into Christianity, where you will see a lot of demonologists claim that Lilith is in, if they're doing a paranormal investigation and there happens to be demon, it's Lilith. It's Lilith. Why? She's not a bad person for not wanting to be submissive to a man. All she was asking was to share the Garden of Eden. She wasn't asking to keep it all for herself. She wanted to have her own freedoms as well, just like Adam. She wanted to share in his love, share in the world, share the air, share the water, share the world. And Adam didn't like that. Is it possible that there is truth in all of the stories? Absolutely. 100% truth. Possibility there are truths in all the stories. This is how, through history and through storytelling, a lot of people or stories of people get convoluted or diluted in a way, or made into something that they are absolutely not. It's kind of like playing the historical telegraph game or the telephone game, where you have a long line of people. You say something in the very beginning, and by the time it gets down to the last person, it's nothing. It resembles nothing of what you said in the very beginning. It has nothing to do with that. And I'm going to butt hurt some people. And, interpret it as you would. Now, I'm not saying Christianity is completely wrong, and I'm not saying it's completely right. I'm not saying paganism is completely wrong or completely right either. I am saying neutral. I'm like Switzerland. Why is it that at the First Council of Nicaea, they struck out of the Bible the Gospel according to Mary Magdalene? The Gospel or the book according to the Virgin Mary. The Lost Book of Thomas. That is rumored, the Lost Book of Thomas is rumored to be written by Thomas, word for word, verbatim, from Jesus himself in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he knew he was going to die. He took Thomas into the garden, and Thomas watched him pray. That prayer that if you grew up in Catholic school or you grew up around a Bible, that you learned that Jesus showed his first signs of actually being a man, a human. He was scared. And he made that plea to his father, say, Father, if thy will be done, let this cup pass over me. Like, I don't want to die. If there's any possible way that you can make this pass over me and we can be square with it, I'm good. That's his first signs of showing that he was human, that he had human feelings. I have heard that she comes to children that suffer and she rescues them from the situation. It didn't fix their narrative. No, it didn't fix their narrative at all. And that is very possible. In some stories, Desiree, that is their philosophy on Lilith, is that she comes to children who are suffering. And she takes their suffering away. Which I guess can be misconstrued as the baby killer, the baby eater. They wanted to keep it male-dominated system at the time, and it was a very taboo for women to have any type of authority. I'm just removing my shoes, sorry, because my feet hurt. Very correct, Charles. Very correct. So, Christianity then, and most often still now, is very male-dominated. And there needed to be multiple writings by multiple authors to consider the writings authentic. One off does not make it a true story. Sometimes, Lisa. Sometimes. But again, I think most of the part is Charles is right. It was very taboo to have a female as an authoritative figure. And I think still to this day, there are a lot of men out there that are scared of a woman having any kind of authority. We're not all dumb blondes. We're not all Karens. And I think in that male-dominated world, in order to get people to stray away from a possible female having some kind of authoritative figure, they turned her into a demon. They made her a baby eater, or the baby stealer, or infertile, makes women infertile was another one that I heard. It was also another way of separation, Judaism to Christianity. That is true. And we were going to get to that, but thank you, Charles. That is true. Jesus was very pro-female according to the Bible. He first appeared to a woman. That is true. He first appeared to a woman. I don't know if that makes him very pro-female, other than the fact that, the Bible stories, it does say that he saved Mary Magdalene from being stoned, because they knew her as a streetwalker, as a prostitute. And they were stoning her, or getting ready to stone her. And Jesus stopped them from stoning her. And I think that's where he made his for his comment about, do not judge lest ye be judged, and people in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones, if you know what I mean. Of course, in the Bible, first miracle occurred at Mary's request. It did, because Mary was his mother. Even to this day, when I went to Catholic school, we were taught that, I'm not discounting, and I don't want anybody's feathers to get ruffled about me trying to smear Jesus's name, because I'm not. I'm all pro whatever you got to do that makes you feel whole, whatever faith makes you happy. That's the faith that you should believe. And I'm not one to speak. I'm not one to throw you off of your or try to sway you one way or the other. That's the first thing you'll never see, is a pagan knocking on your door going, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I talk to you about our Lord and Savior Baphomet?" Nope. She was not named. It was assumed. You are correct. And even to this day, when I went to Catholic school when I was little, our teachers, or the nuns, would say, if you want something really bad, and you've prayed to God and you've prayed to Jesus, and it still isn't happening, you know what you need to do? Is that you need to pray to Mary, because Jesus could never refuse his mother. Which is, is being a good boy. He could never refuse his mother, and he knew that Mary would not allow him to, would not ask for anything. I mean, for crying out loud, she was the mother of a savior. Depends on which Mary showed up. There was more than 2 Marys in the Bible. Only one had a last name, and they assumed that the same one beside Jesus' mom. You are correct. You're all getting ahead of me and not letting me finish, but that's okay. You keep spouting on, you keep doing what you're doing. This is great. This is conversation. This is dialogue. You are correct, Rachel and Lisa, that they are referring to Mary. They are under the assumption that it was Mary Magdalene, because only one had a last name. There were many Mary. There was 2 Marys in the Bible. I believe there was maybe more than 2 Marys in the Bible, I think. Anywho, getting back to Lilith, before we get too far off track. So I don't ever think that that Lilith was a demon to that extent, that people, oh, it's Lilith, this is why you're not pregnant, and this is what happens when, your baby died is because of Lilith. You have a demon in your house needs to be exorcised. BS. Calm down. BS. Okay? And I'm just going to speak for my spiritual practice, which is paganism. All right? Y'all know that. If you don't know that by now, you've probably been living under a rock somewhere. But, howdy, I'm a pagan. Hi. I'm not dressed like y'all think I should be dressed. I am a mom, and I work 3 jobs and take care of a mom and a house and, a whole bunch of other things and whatevers. We as pagans today have decided as women, as pagan women, to bring back her light, Lilith's light. And we kind of accept her for who she is. We have accepted her as a symbol of the all feminine. As a symbol of female autonomy, independence, and most importantly, sexual liberation. She represents the toughness that a female has. The softness that she has as well. I mean, she may appear soft and squishy on the outside, but don't discount her. And I think every female, especially what's going on with, our political system, or our environment, the world today, and things that have happened, and I don't want to get too political, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, things like that. The attack on women's liberty has kind of brought a lot of population to the pagan world, because I don't think right now that religions are mainstay religions or mainstream religions. Now, remember, there were only originally three religious factions. If you weren't Muslim, you're not Jewish, and you're not Christian, you're not Catholic, everything else is considered paganism. It's three main religious factions. And I don't think that in this day and age, and I may be wrong, that the reason that we are gaining in population amongst pagans is that mainstream religions are no longer hitting it for people. They're no longer feeling whole when they go to these services, so they're looking for something else. I'm not saying they're this successfully, joining pagan factions, or we use the word pagan as an umbrella term. There are many different little pockets of paganism here, there, and everywhere, from Norse to Wiccan to Gardner to all kinds of eclecticness and whatever have you. I can't say that they're going full hard all the way you know, into it and, you know, forming their own covens and you know, their own communities and groups. I think some of them today are still disillusioned by the fact that, you know, they're still looking for something out there that hits for them. But I think that a lot of what is going on in the world today, that they have come back to Mother Lilith. Jump ahead from what I've come to know of her. She's more of a guardian, not a deity or a demon. You're absolutely correct, Rachel. She's considered more of a guardian. She stands for women's autonomy. She is the first original who would not bow down. She is the first original who wanted sexual liberation, who stood for being soft and feminine, but also wanted to stand beside a man and help making decisions, not doing whatever a man wanted to do. Basically, she wanted to be her own woman, independence. She stood for a lot of things. And I think she is someone that a lot of young women today look up to. I don't think that she was ever a demon. I think history wrote her that way because they were afraid. They were afraid of women becoming too powerful. I mean, look what happened to women throughout history. Look at Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake as a heretic to the church, and she loved God. She fought for God. And because she dressed like a man, half man, because she had a dress underneath all that chainmail, mind you, riding that horse for Christendom, they burned her as a heretic. Calm down. Not every female is after your job. Alright? We just want to be considered equal. And she was that encompassing individual. That encompassing independence, sexual liberation, female autonomy. She is the all feminine. And there are a lot of people who pray to her that are pagan, that work with her as a deity. When they have altars, they make an altar to Mother Lilith, and they call her Mother Lilith because that is the title she has earned. Mother Lilith. She demands respect. She demands respect. So you're not just going to pray to her and get whatever the heck you want and then expect not to give anything to her in return. It's a two-way street, especially when you are working with a quote-unquote, and I'm going to use the term, Rachel, deity. I think during the women's liberation right movement, she was kind of rediscovered and adopted as a sort of role model. Absolutely. And what do we talk about, Charles, when we talk about history coming full circle or history repeating itself? Because people aren't learning anything. It's kind of weird to say history repeats itself because it really doesn't. It's just people don't want to learn. They don't learn from their mistakes. They want to be stupid and making the same damn mistakes over again. And yet here we are again. Back in the time of the 60s, women's liberation again, where, you know, you've got people making laws for women, you know, and this is the last comment I'm going to make about that is that if you don't have a uterus, you don't have a cervix, and you don't have ovaries, you need to shut the hell up. Bottom line. I don't speak for someone who has a phallus and two we'll just leave it at that, because I'm going to get kicked off of here if I mention any more words. But I don't make laws for you, because I don't have one, and I don't know what it's like to have one. Okay, so this is it, and I think this is why women are coming back to, and pagans are using or working with Mother Lilith as a deity. Even though, she's not really a deity. I don't want to use the word deity in that sense. You're right, Rachel. Or demonic. She's more of a guardian of women. Another good guardian of women is Hecate. Queen of the Crossroads. Keeper of the Keys. She is also a female. She's a three females sewn back to back with each other. One with a torch, one with a staff, and one with a key. She helps you make decisions. And sometimes I work with her as well. I work with Mother Lilith when I feel that I need to speak to her. Make sure that you honor these guardians and these guides, deities, whatever you may want to call them, that you work with. But to me, I don't want to say that she was ever a demon. I mean, when we talk about her making, the comment that was made about, her taking away the sins, hey, Bobby. Hey, cuz. With Desiree's comment saying that she was known to take away or rescue the suffering from the children, take the suffering away from the children. Do I need some good news? That would be great. You can give me good news if you want. But anyway, getting back to that, what's the good news you got? Tell me, cuz. If I had a child who was suffering, and I knew that they were going to be suffering, and it was going to be this long, drawn-out death, where they were just going to suffer immensely, you need some guidance? Is that what you need? You need some guidance? I can try and give you some guidance later. I mean, if that's what you need, we can talk about it later. But, back to what you were saying about Lilith, I think she appears how she is needed. I think, I don't, does she wear dark clothes? Yes. Does she have red eyes? Yes. Does she stay in the shadows? Yes, because she was condemned to the shadows. She was condemned to the shadows. And getting back to that, I think if my child was suffering and I knew it was going to be a long, drawn-out death and they were just going to suffer so much, I think I would pray to Lilith to ease her pain. I think I really would. I think that, it's a possibility, Desiree, that she appears... I know you need guidance. I know you need some guidance, my love. But I think that's what it's all about. I don't think that she was ever a demon. I think she got convoluted and just diluted in history, in religious history or religious texts. Because she was a female and because she wanted equality. And I think because it was a time where women were not made to be equals, that left a bad taste in the mouths of theologians back then, let's just put it that way, or mystics. And I am pretty sure that if Lilith had been written in the Bible in the very beginning, she would have been thrown out at the first council of Nicaea. That would have been a nope, sorry. Nope. Wants to be an equal? Nope. Nope. Wants to walk beside a man and make decisions with a man? Nope. Can't have that happen. Nope, 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 nope. We're not going to have that happen. So I think that was one of the things that if she was written in the first Bible or in the first works where they were at the Council of Nicaea throwing out books, I think she would have been one of the ones that was thrown out. There is some, if we want to talk about religion or we want to talk about Christianity, and we want to get down to the nitty gritty, there are a lot of people that say, if you take a look at a picture or the painting of the Last Supper, that's standing at the right hand or sitting at the right hand of Jesus is not a man, that it's Mary Magdalene. Or assumed, because we know that Mary Magdalene was the only one with the last name. Never religious, didn't believe in the duality of male and female. They are male dominant. That's very true. That is very, very true, Rachel. That there are a lot of people who's got their knickers in a knot that say that that parts of the Da Vinci Code are correct. There is rumored that they did have theologians that were working with them, and they had people that were standing at both sides of the aisle to make sure that what he was talking about was correct when he was talking about religion. Was that there are a lot of people that believe that, Jesus was a man, that he was a man. He had male urges like everybody else, and that Mary Magdalene was his wife. She went everywhere that he went. And that Mary Magdalene was, quote unquote, a secret apostle that, of course, we couldn't write about because they were all males. Anywho, newer religions, and you're right, they don't believe in duality of male or female. They're all male dominant. And if you want the truth, this is my truth. I speak my truth. And I've done all the research for this. An entire book full of research through the past week and a half. And I don't use Wikipedia because Wikipedia, my family dog, if he had opposable thumbs, could go into Wikipedia and change things around. That is not a reliable source. Reddit is another non-reliable source. All their creepypastas, you can't tell one truth from the next, or whether it's truth or fiction. If you want to go to credible websites that Google will give you, and do the research, find out Council of Nicaea. When was the first Council of Nicaea? When we talk about the book, the Alphabet of Ben Sirah, and we learn about the Garden of Eden by the Jewish people, you have to go even further. You dig more, which leads you to more rabbit holes. Anyhoodle. So I think we've demystified a little bit of Lilith. I don't think that she is the demon that people paint her to be. Some people do look up to her as a deity. There are a lot of pagans that work with Mother Lilith. And they call her Mother Lilith. There are a lot of pagans, many things left out of the Bible. There were many things left out of the Bible. There were many things that were thrown out at the First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. which was headed off by Constantine because he wanted to sweep the whole world, or the whole conquering kingdom of Rome, with Christianity. And that's, that's where we started off tonight with. But any hoodles, I think I did a pretty good job of kind of demystifying Lilith. I don't think history, rumors made her a demon. And I don't know about anybody else, but if I was Lilith, and rumors kept coming, oh, she's a demon, oh, she's a baby killer, oh, she's a baby snatcher, she steals babies out of cribs, she makes women barren because they did something against her. I think, thank you, Lisa, I think I would be sour too if I was Lilith. There is a saying that I have used more than once, and I love that saying. And it's for all the people who want to demonize me or make me into something I'm not. And it's like, okay, I'll be the monster in your story, but you better tell everybody what chapter you created me in. My mind has been enriched with knowledge. I love that, Charles. And I can see you laughing behind your screen. Yeah. You treat a person evil enough and spread enough rumors, and you know what? They're going to become the monster that you created. Because you wished for that. You created that. You created that demon. They weren't always like that. As well as things that were rewrote because they didn't like how it was originally written. Yeah, that was originally written. I think Lilith was just a guardian. And I think her ending children's suffering. Don't tell anyone. Shh, don't tell anyone. Just don't tell anyone. I won't tell anyone. Shh, mom's the word. Your secret's safe with me. I think people misconstrued that. And I think because she was a woman, she got a raw deal. Even Eve got a raw deal, if you want to think about it. I mean, power of manifestation on a person. You're right, Rachel. Power of manifestation on a person. Even Eve got a raw deal. Poor Eve. Let's throw Lilith out for a second and bring in Eve. Eve got known as the scourge of, the original sinner. She ate an apple that she wasn't supposed to because she got tricked by a serpent. And now she's the reason that women suffer. Because God told her not to, and she did it, and then she had to be punished. Well, her first two sons weren't too crazy, weren't too good either. Cain and Abel. What they did to excuse me. I got all excited and got a case of indigestion. Eve was the scapegoat. You're right. She was the scapegoat. And thinking about the very question I asked you in the very beginning of this, like an hour and a half ago. If we think about it, if God took a rib from Adam and made him, this is how I'm going to make a female submissive to you. Okay. Let's just put it to you this way. I think she was the scapegoat, Lisa. I really do. I really do. Because she started to get a little wild hair up her behind too, about wanting to be kind of like, I'm not really liking this, but I guess because God told me to, I got to do it, kind of thing. So any hoodles. If God made Adam so conquering and so almighty, why did Eve eat the apple? Why did she believe the snake? I mean, all he had to do was sit there and say, no, don't eat that. Or no, don't believe the snake. If he was so all-powerful, and she was supposed to be so submissive, maybe the man was the scapegoat. To me, and this is only me, you're right, a snake is a phallic symbol for a male. Okay? So, if we think about it that way, maybe we're saying that the original sinner was Adam. If he was so dominating and she was so submissive, she wouldn't have eaten the apple in the first place. Well, look at Adam. We went right along with it. Who's more the fool? The one who leads or the one who follows? Just saying. You should do a podcast on Cain. His story is very interesting. Maybe that's what I'll do next time. Maybe I'll do a See, now you're trying to make me into this religious podcaster who just dismisses all Christian stuff, and I don't want to do that. But maybe I will maybe we'll do one about Cain. I mean, they're two kids, Cain and Abel. Jesus, look what happened to them. Oh God, she was very hungry, and it was red. Lisa, it was the man's fault. That's right, Lisa. That's what I'm getting to. It was the man's fault. We're just going to pin it on the men. And I think that's why this is just, it's kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but I think this is why men are afraid of women taking office or running anything, is because they're afraid of the power that we wield. And that's kind of a good thing. If you kind of think about it, it's like, okay, you stay over in that corner, you be afraid of me. Okay. You feel like you need to control me because, you afraid I'm gonna bring the smack down on you. See, this is what maybe we need here, is female. Because, female can serve, can get rid of a world full of problems in 8 hours, If we're warring with another country, let me talk to his wife on the phone. Okay. You want to go out for lunch? You want to go, you like shoes? Well, we can go shoe shopping. They spend 5 hours, 2 hours lunching and 3 hours shoe shopping, and by the end of the day, the war's over. That's it. Look, didn't even start, and it's over. We bought a couple of thousand pairs of Jimmy Choos, and we call it even. There you go. That is true. There is a rumor that Cain is supposed to be turned into a demon. Now you're going to make me do it. You're going to make me do it, Rachel. I'm going to have to do all the research on Cain now. And we're going to have a podcast on Cain. Or we're going to have a live on Cain. As far as everybody's concerned about our podcasts, we should have our podcasts possibly up and running by next Monday. And it will be Jimmy and I back on for Corner Cauldron. And what are we going to be talking about? Oh, this will tickle your fancy. We'll be back on StreamYard again, possibly next Monday. And Jimmy and I will be talking about what's the difference between a regular empath and a dark empath. Stay tuned for that one. And I suspect that bro has going down. Oh, Lucy, look at you. You showed up. You snuck me at the end of our podcast. She's been in the back seat listening the entire time, and then she wants to come at the very end and go, nice. And then, okay, bye. Kind of thing. Oops. Yeah, Rachel. Oops. You may have done it. But we will most likely be back on air on StreamYard and on YouTube Wasn't he also called the father of murder at one point? Who? Cain? We may discuss that in another pod. We'll discuss that on another live. If that's what you want, well, I'll do the research. We'll discuss it on another live. But any hoodles. Oh, I'm wetting my whistle, and it's 8:30. We've been on here for an hour and a half. Very interesting. Very interesting. We will be speaking, I'm like Artie Johnson. Very interesting. I see nothing. I know nothing. From laughing, you know, with the leaves. Very interesting. We will be talking about the difference between an empath and a dark empath. And don't let anybody tell you that there isn't a difference, because there is a wild difference between a regular empath and a dark empath. So come with your questions. We'll be back on the air. I've talked to our producer today, and we should be up and running for Corner Cauldron. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, bro, if you know what I mean. Lucy, I know he's standing right next to you or in the next room listening. Let's hope he did all that research that we were supposed to do. And see what happens. Any more questions? Yeah, Rachel, oops. You created this monster, Rachel. Yes, you did. Big difference, but not what you think on empaths. Yes. We've done a lot of research for this. So be ready with notes. Anything else, my loves? I wanted to thank all of you for staying for an hour and a half. By the way, don't forget. Good night. I hope to see you soon at your happy place in November, ma'am. We will be there for Remembrance Day. Don't forget, my friend, this little light of mine, skincare, Carrie Hopper. Look, this is a lotion, Loyalty. This is a body butter. This is Wisdom. This Loyalty, smells like waffles, pecan waffles with maple syrup. And look at that tiger's eye in there. This is not a little chip. This is a full-size crystal in here. These are infused with Reiki. Ambition body scrub. Sugar scrub. Smells like caramel apples. And it's got adventurine in it. Again, with the Reiki. This one here, Wisdom, is a body butter. Ugh. Lapis lazuli, and it smells like blueberry cobbler. I told Carrie, I said, maybe this is why I can't find a man, is I don't smell like breakfast. I've always heard the way to a man's heart needs smell-o-vision now. We really do. You know what? I will bring them up to the shop next time so you can smell away, ma'am. This is maybe why I can't find a man. You know what they say? A way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Maybe it's because I don't smell like breakfast. I mean, how horrible can that be? Smelling like breakfast. I mean, I want to smell like breakfast. And now I have the opportunity to. Maybe if, I don't know, a man smells me and I smell like waffles. Maybe, I don't know, he'll want to date me. I don't know. Any hoodles, that's just me being silly. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And don't forget to support This Little Light of Mine skincare products. It's called This Little Light of Mine Skincare by Carrie Hopper. It's on Facebook. Go find it. She's a little mom and pop. She does all this by herself. And her son, Coy, helps her put all these together. By the way, she is helping Jason Hawes. If you were not here for the beginning of this, Jason Hawes is trying to put a bid in for the Conjuring Farm. The auction goes off October 31st, but he needs your help. We are presuming, or there are rumors running around, that the bid could go as high as $5 million. We do not want this house to go into the wrong hands and watch it be a shit show circus like it has been. We know that Jason is the right man. Even Andrea Perrin, who was part of the Perrin family, the original Conjuring, she lived in that house. And she trusts Jason Hawes with this. She knows he's the right man who not only respects the spirits, is a respected man in his field, but could give that house the absolute love and care and tenderness it needs to bring it back to life. This is a piece of history that's several hundred years old. He has a GoFundMe page, so if you go to Facebook and go to Jason Hawes Taps, you will find his video there and his GoFundMe. If you can't even give $10, because we know the weight of the economic situation in these times today. If you can't, please be willing to share it on your Facebook page, on all of your social media, and help us get donations so that he can make a bid in for this house. He already said that he would not be part of the day-to-day operations, but he will be hiring people that he recommends, people that he's known, people that he's worked with, people that have worked on that farm for years. And the possibility, Dave Cummings, of him rehiring the groundskeeper, the one that got fired, Brian, I don't know at this point. We'd have to see what Brian's physical condition is in, because I think he fell in hard times. I think he had some health issues along the way during that whole process. But we know that he's the right man for the job. And I was so excited. I was on pins and needles, and when that broke that he was trying to get the Conjuring house, we don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. We know that there's a lot of people out there that just looking at dollar signs and are going to make it a shit show. Jason Hawes, by the way, also has the backing of the neighborhood. All the neighbors in the neighborhood are like, go Jason. We know he'll do it right. So if you go to This Little Light of Mine skincare products, Carrie Hopper, my friend, who is also co-host with Aaron Bush, well, that was weird, on YouTube, great show, is doing 50/50 raffles in her skincare shop. So go to thislittlelightofmineskincare.com and buy some raffle tickets, man. This is helping Jason. We want him to get this house. We don't want it to slip through his fingers, okay? All right. I'm ending this tonight, and we may be on for another one with Kane. Look what the monster you created, Rachel. Thank you. As I always say, I will be back on here with my brother from another mother, my WT, my Wonder Twin, Jim Spillin. Hopefully next Monday. And we will be on StreamYard, on YouTube, on Facebook Live. And let's see, where am I going to be next? In October, I'm going to be at the Witch's Ball in Drums, Pennsylvania, doing tarot card readings for a benefit fundraiser for the John C. Chrysler Scholarship Fund in Drums, Pennsylvania. I will be there doing my tarot card readings. There's going to be tea leaf readers. There's going to be palmists. There's going to be a medium. There's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff. DJ, food, candy bar, dancing, vendors, $65 a ticket. And find it on Facebook. Go to the Witch's Ball, Drums, Pennsylvania. You'll find it. Click on it. Scan the QR code to see if there are any tickets left. They are $65 a person. All goes to a good cause. October 25th from 6 to 10 p.m. They will be at the Four Blooms restaurant in Drums, Pennsylvania. Okay? All right, everybody. Got to get off of here. And as I always say, love and blessings to everyone. Miss my crew. Miss you all. Love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all. I couldn't even say it. Chicken grease. Love, peace, chicken grease, y'all. Bye. Bye.